Welcome to my channel Old Valuable Coins. Do you know that the 1 cent worth thousands millions today? The 1944 1 cent coin was minted during World War II, a time when the United States faced shortages of metals needed for the war effort. In 1943, pennies were made of steel coated with zinc to save copper for ammunition and other wartime needs. But in 1944, the US Mint returned to using copper for pennies, made from recycled shell casings collected from battlefields. This is why the 1944 Lincoln cent is often called the shell case penny. It's made mostly of copper, with small amounts of tin and zinc, giving it a rich reddish-brown color that collectors love. On the obverse side, the coin features the familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 to honor the centennial of Lincoln's birth. The word liberty appears to the left, the year 1944 to the right, and above Lincoln's head is the motto "In God We Trust." The reverse side shows two wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. This is why these coins are also called wheat pennies. Now let's talk about the mint marks. The 1944 penny was struck at 3 locations: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. The Philadelphia coins have no mint mark, the Denver coins show a small D below the date, and the San Francisco coins show an S. Each mint produced millions of pennies that year, but their rarity and value depend on condition, metal composition, and specific varieties. The most common 1944 pennies are made of copper, but a few extremely rare errors were accidentally struck on leftover 1943 steel planchets. These 1944 steel pennies are among the rarest and most valuable coins in US history. Only a few dozen are known to exist, and they can be worth from tens of thousands to over $1 million, depending on their condition. If you find a 1944 penny that looks silver or gray instead of brown or red, it might be one of these famous errors, a 1944 steel cent. Always check with a trusted numismatist or coin dealer to confirm. The regular copper 1944 pennies are much more common but still hold collectible value, especially in higher grades. In circulated condition, they're usually worth a few cents to a few dollars, but in uncirculated or mint state condition, their value can rise dramatically. A brilliant red, uncirculated 1944D or 1944S penny can sell for $50 to $150 or more, while a perfect example graded MS-67 or higher can bring hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Another interesting detail is the 1944D over S mint mark error, where San Francisco mint mark S was accidentally punched under Denver D. This error is rare and collectible. If you spot what looks like 2 mint marks overlapping, you might have found one of these valuable pieces. The 1944 1 cent coin represents more than just a piece of metal. It tells a story of America during wartime, of recycling materials from the battlefield to the home front, and of a nation striving to honor its great leader while supporting the troops abroad. Collectors appreciate this coin not only for its design and rarity but also for its deep connection to American history. If you're examining your own 1944 penny, pay close attention to its color and luster. A bright red tone usually indicates a well-preserved coin, while brown tones show age and circulation. Also, inspect the edges and lettering for any doubling or mint errors that could increase its value. Even slight variations like off-center strikes, die cracks, or repunched mint marks can make a difference in collector interest. In terms of composition, the 1944 copper penny weighs about 3.11 grams. If you happen to find one that weighs around 2.7 grams and is attracted to a magnet, that's a strong sign it might be the ultra-rare steel version. Always handle coins carefully by the edges and avoid cleaning them, since cleaning can reduce their value dramatically. Many coin enthusiasts start their collection journey with Lincoln wheat pennies because they're affordable, easy to find, and full of history. The 1944 penny is a cornerstone of that collection, connecting to the famous steel cent of 1943 and the post-war copper cents that followed. For anyone passionate about US coinage, this coin bridges an important chapter in American minting. Even though millions were made, finding a perfectly preserved example from 1944 is rare. If you have rolls of old wheat pennies, take the time to check each one. You never know when a hidden treasure might appear. Every collector dreams of discovering that rare steel penny or a mint error that turns an ordinary cent into a fortune. The story of the 1944 1 cent coin is one of transformation, from war to peace, from scarcity to abundance, and from common change to potential collector's gold. Whether you're an experienced numismatist or a new collector just getting started, understanding the history and significance of coins like this helps you appreciate the art, craftsmanship, and heritage behind every piece of US currency. The Lincoln Wheat Penny series ran from 1909 to 1958, replaced later by the Lincoln Memorial design. But the 1944 penny remains one of the most iconic coins of the series. Its connection to World War II gives it a special place in American culture and in the hearts of coin collectors everywhere. First up, the 1945 penny was struck during the final year of World War II. At that time, the United States Mint was producing millions of coins daily to keep up with the demands of the wartime economy. The 1945 1-cent coin continued the Lincoln wheat cent design, which had been introduced back in 1909 to honor the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. Designed by Victor David Brenner, the obverse of the coin features the famous right-facing portrait of Lincoln, while the reverse side displays two wheat stalks encircling the words 1 cent and United States of America. The 1945 Lincoln penny was minted at 3 different mints: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Coins from Philadelphia have no mint mark, those from Denver carry a small D mark below the date, and those from San Francisco have an S. Each of these mint locations produced millions of coins, but despite the large numbers, some pieces have become extremely valuable due to condition, errors, or rarity of specific varieties. The 1945 1-cent coin is made primarily of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 90 millimeters. This coin composition returned to normal after the 1943 steel cents, which were made of zinc-coated steel due to the copper shortage during the war. By 1945, copper was once again available for coinage, which gave the penny its classic reddish-brown color. Now let's talk about mintage figures. The Philadelphia Mint produced over 1 billion Lincoln pennies in 1945, around 1,040,515,000 to be exact. The Denver Mint struck about 266,268,000, and the San Francisco Mint produced around 181,770,000 coins. These numbers show that the 1945 penny is not rare by mintage, but individual coins can still hold significant value based on their grade, strike quality, and special minting errors. When evaluating a 1945 penny, condition plays the biggest role. Circulated examples are common and usually worth just a few cents, often between 3 and 10 cents depending on wear and luster. However, if your 1945 1-cent coin is in uncirculated condition, it could be worth a lot more. Mint state 1945 pennies, especially those with strong original red color, can sell for several dollars to even hundreds in higher grades. In top-graded conditions, 1945 Lincoln wheat pennies have sold for impressive amounts. Some certified examples with full red luster and minimal marks can reach prices above $500 or more depending on the market. Collectors highly value pennies that maintain their original color, designated as red, road, in grading terms. Coins that have toned or darkened over time are labeled as red-brown, RB, or brown, BN, and these generally bring lower prices. But the real excitement comes from error coins and varieties. Error coins from 1945 can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Examples include off-center strikes, double die obverses, repunched mint marks, and clipped planchets. One of the most sought-after errors is the double die 1945 penny, where letters or numbers appear slightly duplicated under magnification. Another valuable find is the 1945 S penny with a repunched S mint mark, a small but distinct variation that excites collectors. If you have a 1945 D penny from the Denver Mint, check it carefully for repunched mint marks as well. Even small details can significantly affect the coin's desirability and market value. Many collectors use magnifying lenses to examine the coin's date, lettering, and Lincoln's eye area for possible doubling or misstrikes. Now, let's look at some auction highlights and collector values. While most 1945 pennies sell for small amounts, pristine examples can fetch big premiums. A top-graded 1945 S penny once sold for well over $2,000 at auction due to its exceptional red color and sharp strike. Such coins represent the upper limit of value for the 1945 1-cent coin. Even common dates can become valuable when they are perfectly preserved, so condition really is king. It's also important to note that the 1945 1-cent coin marks the end of an important era. After 1945, the United States transitioned from wartime production back to peacetime economy. The wheat penny design itself would remain in production until 1958, before being replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. That makes the 1945 penny part of a beloved and nostalgic period in American coinage history. Collectors often look for full sets of Lincoln wheat cents, which span from 1909 to 1958. Having a complete collection that includes the 1945 penny from all 3 mints, Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco, is a classic goal among coin hobbyists. Each mint mark tells part of the story of the U.S. Mint's nationwide operation during one of the most significant decades of the 20th century. So if you happen to come across a 1945 penny, it's worth taking a closer look. Even if it appears ordinary, it could have hidden details that increase its value. Carefully check for mint marks, look for doubling or errors, and if you suspect it's in excellent condition, consider preserving it properly. Storing your coins in a cool, dry environment, and using coin flips or capsules, will help maintain their luster and prevent oxidation. The 1945 1-cent coin also holds emotional and historical value. It circulated during the end of World War II, when millions of Americans were celebrating victory and peace. Many families at that time saved their pennies as keepsakes, which is why these coins are still found in collections today. Every 1945 penny you find might have passed through the hands of someone who lived through that remarkable period of history. Numismatically, the 1945 Lincoln wheat penny is a reminder of how even a small 1-cent coin can tell a big story about America's past. It reflects craftsmanship, history, and economic resilience. Whether you're a beginner or experienced collector, studying coins like the 1945 penny helps you appreciate the details that make each piece unique. In today's coin market, interest in Lincoln wheat pennies continues to grow. Collectors worldwide search for high-grade examples, rare varieties, and error coins from this iconic series. Many people start their numismatic journey by collecting wheat cents, and the 1945 penny is one of the most accessible and rewarding coins to begin with. If you're wondering whether your 1945 penny is valuable, remember, mint mark, condition, and rarity determine everything. A simple 1945 penny from circulation may be worth only a few cents, but a gem quality or rare error coin could be worth hundreds or more. That's why it's always worth checking every old penny carefully. You never know when you might hold a hidden treasure from the past. Next up, the 1974 1-cent coin is part of the long-running Lincoln cent series that started in 1909. Designed by Victor David Brenner, this coin features the portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse side, symbolizing freedom, leadership, and legacy. The reverse design, during this year, still displayed the Lincoln Memorial, a tribute to one of the most respected presidents of the United States. The coin's history, metal composition, and mint varieties make it a highly collectible and fascinating piece for anyone interested in numismatics or old US coins. Now, let's talk about the composition of the 1974 Lincoln penny. Like most pennies minted from 1962 to 1982, this coin is made primarily of 95% copper and 5% zinc. It weighs about 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 90 millimeters. Because of its high copper content, even a regular circulated 1974 1-cent coin has a melt value based on copper prices that is higher than 1 cent, though melting these coins is currently prohibited. The copper makes these coins durable, giving them a rich, attractive color that ages beautifully over time. In 1974, the United States Mint produced this coin in 4 different locations: Philadelphia, Denver, San Francisco, and there's also a very special experimental issue known as the 1974 aluminum penny. The standard coins carry the mint marks, none for Philadelphia, a D for Denver, and an S for San Francisco. Most collectors are familiar with these, but the aluminum version is what truly captured the attention of coin collectors and the US government alike. Let's first talk about the regular copper versions. The 1974 penny without a mint mark was struck in Philadelphia, and hundreds of millions of these coins were produced. The 1974 D penny from the Denver Mint is also extremely common, and both coins are still found in pocket change today. However, collectors always look for special varieties and error coins, which can make even a 1974 penny worth more than face value. Some of the most sought-after 1974 penny varieties include coins with double dies, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die cracks, and repunched mint marks. For example, a 1974 D penny with a strong double die on the obverse can be worth significantly more than its face value. Depending on condition and rarity, such an error can sell for several dollars or even higher if certified in high mint state condition. The 1974 S penny, struck in San Francisco, is found mainly in proof sets. These proof coins have a mirror-like finish, sharp details, and were never meant for circulation. If you find a 1974 S-proof Lincoln penny in pristine condition, especially with deep cameo contrast, it can bring a nice premium from collectors who specialize in proof issues of the Lincoln cent series. Now, the most famous and rarest version of the 1974 1-cent coin is the experimental aluminum penny. This is one of the most legendary stories in American coinage history. In the early 1970s, the U.S. Mint explored alternative metals due to the rising cost of copper. In 1974, they created test pennies struck in aluminum instead of copper. Around 1.5 million aluminum cents were produced and distributed to members of Congress and government officials for review, but they were never approved for circulation. Almost all were recalled and melted down. However, a few 1974 aluminum pennies are believed to have escaped destruction. These coins are extremely rare and controversial. The U.S. government has considered them property of the mint and has demanded their return when discovered. One famous example surfaced in the 1970s from a former employee, but it was seized by the Secret Service. Another example appeared decades later from a former mint worker's estate, sparking legal battles and intense media coverage. Experts estimate that if a 1974 aluminum penny were ever legally sold, it could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars or even more, depending on its authenticity and legal status. When it comes to value, most regular 1974 Lincoln cents are worth only 1 cent in circulated condition. However, uncirculated coins in mint state condition, especially graded by PCGS or NGC, can bring premiums. A bright red, mint state 1974 Lincoln cent graded MS67 red, for instance, can sell for more than $200 depending on the market. Proof coins from San Francisco can also be valuable, particularly if they show deep cameo contrast and no spots or toning. Collectors love these coins not just for their potential value, but also for the story they tell about American history and coin production in the 1970s. This was a period when inflation, metal shortages, and economic challenges forced the U.S. Mint to innovate. The aluminum experiment of 1974 was part of that story, showing how far the mint was willing to go to balance costs and public needs. When examining your own 1974 pennies, it's important to look closely at the details. Check the mint mark, inspect the surfaces under magnification, and pay attention to any doubling on the letters or numbers. Even small die errors can make a difference in value. Keeping your coins in a clean, dry place and handling them carefully by the edges can preserve their condition and long-term worth. Some collectors also focus on assembling full sets of Lincoln Memorial cents, from 1959 to 2008. Including the 1974 penny in both circulated and uncirculated condition is a key part of completing that collection. You can also look for special toning, attractive color variations, or well-struck examples that stand out from the rest. These small differences often appeal to advanced collectors and can increase the market value of your coins. Many people today still underestimate the 1974 1-cent coin, thinking it's just an ordinary penny. But the truth is, behind its simple design lies a rich story of experimentation, economic change, and American heritage. The Lincoln cent has now become one of the longest-running coin series in the world, and each year tells part of the nation's story, from 1909 to the present. If you are a coin collector or just getting started in numismatics, examining coins like the 1974 penny can teach you valuable lessons about mint marks, die varieties, metal compositions, and coin grading. Even coins that look ordinary can hold hidden details or rare varieties that turn out to be worth far more than expected. Now we will explore the 1976 1-cent coin from the United States. Is one of the most fascinating coins that has drawn the attention of collectors and history lovers alike. This coin, minted at the Denver Mint, carries the iconic Lincoln design that has been part of American coinage for over a century. Even though it may appear as an ordinary penny at first glance, the 1976 Lincoln cent holds stories of American history, minting precision, collector variations, and hidden value that many people overlook. Today, we'll explore everything about this coin, from its background, composition, and design to its errors, varieties, and collector worth, all helping you understand why this simple copper coin is more special than it appears. The 1976 Lincoln cent was struck during America's bicentennial year, a time of national celebration marking 200 years of independence. While the 1-cent coin did not receive a special bicentennial design like the quarter, half-dollar, or dollar coins, it still remains a piece of that patriotic year's minting story. The obverse of the coin features President Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909. His initials, VDB, can still be found at the base of Lincoln's shoulder on coins from this era. The reverse side shows the Lincoln Memorial, designed by Frank Gasparro, which was used on U.S. 1-cent coins from 1959 to 2008. If you look closely, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln sitting inside the memorial, a remarkable detail for such a small denomination. The 1976 penny was minted in large numbers at the Denver Mint, with over 4 billion coins produced that year. It's made primarily of copper, composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was just before the US Mint changed the cents composition in 1982 to a copper-plated zinc coin, which makes the 1976 cent one of the last solid copper pennies of its kind. Because copper itself has intrinsic value, these coins are often saved in bulk by collectors and investors who believe that someday their melt value may exceed their face value. When it comes to identifying and understanding the 1976 1-cent coin, collectors often pay close attention to condition and mint errors. A coin in heavily circulated condition typically carries little more than face value, but uncirculated examples, especially those with bright red luster and sharp details, can attract strong interest from numismatists. The mint mark D located just below the date on the obverse indicates that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. When found with a clear, bold D mark and minimal wear, the coin can be quite appealing. Now let's talk about the errors and varieties that make certain 1976 1-cent coins more valuable. One of the most searched for varieties is the double die obverse or double die reverse. In these cases, parts of the coin's design, such as the lettering in God We Trust, Liberty, or the date 1976, appear doubled. This doubling effect happens during the minting process when the die used to strike the coin has been misaligned or shifted slightly. Collectors often use magnifying lenses to spot these details. Coins showing strong doubling can be worth much more than regular strikes, sometimes selling for hundreds of dollars depending on condition and visibility. Another collectible type is the off-center strike, where the coin was not properly centered when struck. This results in part of the design being missing or shifted toward the edge. A minor off-center strike might only bring a few dollars, but a major one, where a large portion of the design is missing, can command much higher prices. Then there are clipped planchets, broad strikes, and die cracks, each of which can make your 1976 penny stand out from millions of others. Collectors also grade these coins using the Sheldon scale, ranging from poor, P1, to mint state, MS70. A 1976 Lincoln cent graded MS65 or higher with full red color is particularly desirable. Some certified examples in high mint state condition can fetch between $20 and $100 or even more, depending on their eye appeal and rarity of the die variety. Proof-like examples or coins with special toning may sell for even higher premiums among collectors who specialize in Lincoln cents. Now, you might wonder, can a 1976 penny really be worth big money? While most circulated coins are worth just 1 cent, some rare examples with dramatic mint errors or exceptionally high grades have sold for impressive amounts at auction. For instance, coins with strong double dies or pristine condition from fresh rolls have been known to sell for hundreds of dollars. The key to discovering a valuable penny is close examination. Check for doubling, clarity of the mint mark, and the overall strike quality. Even small differences in these areas can mean the difference between a common penny and a hidden treasure. Another fascinating aspect of the 1976 penny is its connection to American history. Being minted in the bicentennial year gives it sentimental value, a coin that circulated when the nation celebrated 200 years of freedom, honoring both Abraham Lincoln and the spirit of 1776. Many collectors include the 1976 cent in their sets as a representation of the nation's journey from independence to modern times. It's a symbol of continuity, where the Lincoln design linked the early 20th century to America's 200th anniversary. Over the decades, the Lincoln Memorial Reverse became one of the most recognized images in American currency. The small Lincoln statue inside the memorial on the reverse symbolizes the connection between the design on the front and the one on the back, the man and the monument. This thoughtful design detail made the penny a masterpiece of miniature engraving and a beloved collector's item across generations. Let's talk about what to look for if you're searching through your change or coin jar for valuable 1976 pennies. Start by checking for coins that have bright red surfaces, free from scratches or spots. Red pennies, known as red or red-brown in coin grading terms, retain much of their original mint luster. Then, inspect the coin's details. Look at the lettering, the date, and Lincoln's profile under magnification. Subtle variations or die breaks can make a big difference. Coins with strong details and no wear on Lincoln's cheek, jaw, and coat lines are particularly desirable. If you come across a coin that appears unusual, for instance, one with a faint or missing mint mark, extra thickness in lettering, or partial designs, it may be worth getting it checked by a knowledgeable coin dealer or collector community. Sometimes, even small imperfections that occurred during the minting process can increase the value many times over. Collectors often share discoveries of rare errors online, and you'd be surprised how many valuable coins are found in ordinary pocket change. It's also worth noting that the 1976 D Lincoln cent is part of a long-running coin series that continues to attract attention. Lincoln cents have been produced continuously since 1909, making them the longest-running coin design in US history. The series has gone through several reverse design changes, from the original wheat ears reverse from 1909 to 1958, to the Lincoln Memorial from 1959 to 2008, and then to the Union Shield design introduced in 2010. Each change marks a chapter in American history, and the 1976 D sits perfectly in the middle of that ledger.